Our next guest speaker, I'm sure he's got quite an interesting story to tell. He comes from the least transformed industry in South Africa today. That's the advertising industry. Please help me welcome the Chief Executive Officer of Leo Burnett, Mr. Groovin Nchabeleng.
Thank you, Master of Ceremony, for the brief introduction. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge the following people: our Bishop and Mom Bishop, the MEC of Education, MEC Barbara Christen, the church leadership, our 2013 matriculants, members of the Grace Bible Church. I think it would be prudent and appropriate of all of us today once more to give the 2013 matriculants a round of applause. They did indeed make us proud. It is for this reason that we are here today to celebrate their achievement and motivate them to do better as they are about to face the real world and as future leaders of this country that we all love. My name is Groovin Nchabeleng. I'm a motivator. I'm advertising media executive, businessman, and I hope today I will be able to inspire the 2013 matriculants to do more as they face the real world. I joined this industry called advertising at the dawn of democracy in 1995. It's an industry that has employed almost about 4,000 people, but it controls the mindset and the behavior of more than 50 million South Africans. I joined this industry after I have successfully completed my tertiary education. That was sponsored by Bayers Nodier and Leo Burnett Advertising Agency, the agency that I work for today. When I passed my matric, the only thing that I wanted to do and study, it was journalism. I applied at Rhodes University. However, after I've seen an advert, you see these adverts in Star, and you see that they are looking for students to apply for scholarship, and I applied for that particular scholarship at the Star. And it was looking for students to study at AAA, what we call copywriting. Not knowing what copywriting is all about, thinking that probably it's related to journalism, so let me just apply. And indeed, I applied. My application, by the way, it was rejected. Distracted, I therefore went to AAA School of Advertising to inquire more. And I managed to secure a scholarship directly through Leo Burnett and Africa Scholarship Fund at AAA School of Advertising. For years, while I was studying at AAA, difficult as it may be seen, most people around my area thought I'm still studying journalism. Few people understood what career of advertising is all about, including my late grandmother, who thought that, in actual fact, I'm going to appear on television and endorsing Coca-Cola, because that was the mindset. So every time when there's a Coca-Cola ad appear on TV at those days, my grandmother would look at the TV and thinking that I'm going to appear on that TV. Few people, even till today, they still really grapple and understand what advertising is all about. And I remember very well during those days, I couldn't even go home to avoid any question related to journalism. It only emerged while I was studying, after I've completed my tertiary education, 3 months being employed by Leo Burnett, 1995, I was sent to go to understand the real world of advertising, being sent overseas to go to New York. I've never been in a plane, let alone be outside the country. And I remember even my grandfather thinking that, they told him that it's about 14 hours flight or 18 hours. She wanted to do a provision for me, not exactly what's going to happen. She was so concerned. I managed to get the attention of my friends and the people around the neighborhood. This guy just graduated. 3 months later, he's going to New York. That was the most exciting moment for me. Since then, I have never looked back. As a student for the same company that has employed 65,000 people around the world, operating in more than 83 countries, today I happen to be their CEO. And ultimately become their shareholder in the same very company. While I could not pursue career in journalism, which was my love, my preference, guess what? The same very company that has probably rejected my application, today I happen to be their shareholder. Why I'm relating this story to you, Bishop, and I guess 20 years ago, I was in the same similar position. 20 years ago, I did not know, just passed my matric. I did not know exactly what career to follow, what to choose. My preference was advertising, journalism. I ended up being in advertising by not my choice. Whether you call it incident, accident, there and there. But what drove me to go to AAA at that time, when I saw an advert from the Star newspaper saying that they're looking for students for scholarship to study copywriting at AAA. That's what drove me, because I thought that I was going to study journalism. But I ended up in advertising, and this advertising world has opened the world of endless possibilities. My world is driven by passion. And what is passion? Passion is love. It's what makes you happy as an individual. It's what drives you, what makes you to fulfill. Every time when you wake up in the morning, what is it that will drive you and make you to fulfill about yourself? It requires that you love what you do. Whether the bishop have shown some of during his sermon, demonstrating some soccer players. Whether you want to be a soccer player, a doctor, a banker, a lawyer, it's all being driven by one thing: passion. My passion for media drove me to an extent that I ultimately became one of the probably the own number of advertising agencies in this country. You might like to become or study or become a pilot. You might not become a pilot, but guess what? You might own a plane or own an airline. You might want to be a doctor. You might not becoming a doctor, but you might end up owning a hospital. You might want to be a preacher, but you might end up owning a church. What is passion? I mean, it requires that you set goals. I mean, if you have seen what Mr. Eibel have said, what the bishop have said, the commonalities is about setting goals for yourselves. It requires that whatever what you want to do, go and have that vision, and let vision drive you. It's not going to be easier. You will have setbacks and obstacles along the way. You need to have perseverance and to ensure that you get what you want. Don't get distracted. You will be distracted along the way, but believe in your goals. And it requires that particular purpose. Once you have chosen that goal, that dream, that sense of direction, have the power to stick to it, no matter the cost or the price. I'm not a preacher, but the most famous book called the Bible says, that Jesus, the son of a carpenter for 30 years being known, he went to John the Baptist and said to John, 30 years, he says, John, baptize me. And John says to Jesus, you need to baptize me. Why do I need to baptize you? And we were told that what Jesus says to John, the time has arrived. And John baptized Jesus. And Jesus immediately after that started performing the purpose, the mission that he was sent to do. That transition, that period, Jesus was clear. He knew very well what his purpose, what his goals. One of the most famous icons in our country, Nelson Mandela. I don't think that Mandela, 27 or 40 years ago, thought that he will be the president of the Republic of South Africa. But he had one goal in his mind. He says, I'm able to sacrifice my life for the freedom of the people of South Africa. That's what his goal was. That what drove him. He sacrificed, but he had that particular perseverance. But ultimately, that sacrifice led him to be the first black president in the Republic of South Africa. We are all driven by the 4 Ps. That's my motto. That's what I do. I tell everyone. What are those 4 Ps? It's passion, perseverance, patience, and power. Have the power to take full responsibility. Do not blame anybody. You are the master of your own destiny, no one else. All of us, all single of us, we have the purpose to fulfill in this world. Identify that purpose. Stick to it. It all starts somewhere, and it starts today. I thank you.
The Chief Executive Officer of Leo Burnett, Mr. Groovin Nchabeleng.